What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, guy who's a month and a half into not shaving and trying to grow a beard and hating every moment of it. And today we're talking about Digimon stuff, but we're not talking about like a deck profile or doing any mock battles. I wanted to just talk about the game for a second. I speak very highly of this game, and it's the first physical card game I've played in a long time. I know I've said that about 1,000 times if you've been watching videos before, but I mean that. Like it's really that physical aspect's really nice, and the gameplay is really fun. I've been playing fighting games for most of my life, I guess you could say, and one of the things that's so important to me as a person who likes to play video games or games in general is that I always have the power of choice, and I feel like with Digimon's memory system, I have that power, except in one situation. There's this one little thing about Digimon that makes me feel completely powerless and makes the game experience less fun. And I don't think I've met many people who don't agree with me on this, but heck, I haven't posed this question to YouTube before, so I guess I'll find out in the comments below later on after this video is released. And that is, shouldn't Digimon have a mulligan? Right? Is it just me? In a game where, you know, you decide how much or how many resources your opponent has by giving it to them, basically, and ending your turn, shouldn't you have the option to not just hand them a ton of memory, you know, from the start of the game, and then hopefully don't have to do that again, but, you know, you start on a bad road and you can't draw anything good, and you just keep giving your opponent a ton of memory and it just doesn't feel great, right? For example, like take a look at the top 3 games, right? Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic. 2 of those games have a mulligan system, albeit not a great mulligan system. I mean, I don't really care for Magic giving your opponent, Magic, you draw 1 less card, which seems really bad. But I guess that's your punishment, and then Pokemon's is your opponent gets to draw an extra card, I think, if they so choose, which I guess is less bad, but I don't know. Shadowverse, again, is a game that, Shadowverse is a game where mulligan is kind of baked into the rule set, and it's kind of nice. Both players get a chance to just pull what they need. Now, of course, I left Yugioh out. That is the third of the big three games, not Shadowverse, as much as I love that game as well. But Yugioh doesn't have that rule for obvious reasons. Exodia, other things. Just in that game, if you get a perfect hand, you can just win in turn 1. So I get that. That's fair. But Digimon doesn't have that, and from a deck building perspective, it feels like mid-range decks, the decks that are most prevalent in Digimon, in my opinion, get punished by not having a mulligan. So let's take a look at what I mean for a second. Let's do a quick thought experiment. In Digimon, there's 3. You could have a bunch of different kinds of decks, but they generally fall into 3 different categories. That is aggro, and that is, you know, you run a bunch of level 3s, a couple level 4s that are cheap for just the card draw to keep your hand full. But for the most part, you're mostly running level 3s. The second of those 3 are control decks. Control decks, they typically give away a lot of memory, but to be fair, they don't really care how much memory they give you, because they typically have cards with effects that can control the game, right? So they can remove Digimon, they can send it back to your hand, they can stall, things like Puppetmon, that sort of thing. So they're prepared for you to have a lot of memory, which is part of their game plan. They don't really care how much you get because they can always take care of it. At least that's the idea. And then the third is mid-range decks. So mid-range being those decks where you start from level 3 and your goal is to build up to a level 6 or level 7 with a really good effect, and to win the game using the great effects from Digivolving, as well as, you know, playing multiple Digimon and then, you know, getting them out, and there's some game plan, right? Mid-range decks are very wide and varied because there's so many different ways to play them. But those decks typically run, I don't know if you're, again, I know there's an exception to every rule. Those decks typically run 13 to 16 level 3s. And if you do I did the quick number crunching on the first take of this video, but, you know, 16 cards, 50 card deck, it's like 30% chance, something like that. Honestly, it's worse than a coin flip, and without a mulligan, if I lose that coin flip and get no level 3s in my opening hand, then, you know, I don't have a way to draw because I can't Digivolve my egg. I can't draw because I'm going first. unless you're going second. But again, if I'm going first, then I have no draw. And so if I have an opening hand of nothing but champions and, level 4s, level 5s, etc., then I give my opponent all this memory to work with in the start of the game. And if they have an aggro deck or they have a control deck, then they're super happy, right? And if they have a mid-range deck, they're also happy because, hey, my very first turn, I gave you 6 memory to work with, which means you can typically go from a level 3 to a level 5, in some cases even a level 6 in a single turn. I mean, if they get a high roll. So, doesn't it just stand to reason to let the person going first, or hell, both players, have a chance to redo that opening hand? No, it's just me. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below, but that's all I wanted to say on the subject. I think that Digimon really could use a way for the person going first, especially, not to just get screwed. Because normally if you're going first, that's supposed to be an advantage, but if your hand is garbage, then it's like, okay, well, I guess going first was actually, a crapshoot. I don't get anything here. I give away a bunch of memory, and then suddenly going first means I'm on the defensive. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Should Digimon have a mulligan rule? If they do, what kind of mulligan rule should it be? I mean, should you be allowed to toss only things that aren't level 3s away? Should you be allowed to choose the cards you want to give away, or you mulligan and then redraw the rest? Should you only have the ability to do it one time? You just throw the whole hand away and you just draw 5 more cards? Let me know what you think. Anyway, that's going to be it for me, guys. And yeah, I'll catch you next time.